welcome again to the center. For those of you who are new, I'm Gary Shaw, co-director with Larry Howard of JFK Assassination Center. We'll be meeting here monthly from now on, so we're glad you're here. We've got some special guests I'll introduce to you in a little bit, but before we go too far, I know one question that's hanging: where's Jim Lawrence? Jim's not here. Maybe he'll be here later, maybe not. We'll just have to play that by ear. But we're not without a program. You're going to be mightily pleased. Go ahead.
Meeting to be later at 7 or 7:30?
7:30. I think since some of you will be coming further to Dallas to this location, that we'll just make them from now on at 7:30. We'll quit at 9:30 if we get through. And if we don't get through, we'll stay. But most of the time, I think we'll be out here by 10. November 22nd is 2 weeks away. 26 years. I'm 26 years older and still doing this. Don't know why in the world. But we are. And just to give you some idea of what we're planning here, it's been very difficult to plan anything for some reason for this anniversary date. But 2 or 3 things that I think you'll be interested in and kind of keep you up to date. On November the 21st, John Davis, author of Monty Kingfish, will be on KLIF that morning on the Kevin McCarthy show. Then on that afternoon, he'll spend the afternoon with us here, autographing his book. The paperback is out now. It has about 3 short chapters added to it that is more or less an update, not only on the new evidence, but on Carlos, where he stands. And gratefully acknowledge there's about 3 or 4 paragraphs in there about our center. So our center will have worldwide publicity from this book. We're pleased that he's chosen to do that. So you'll enjoy meeting him.
Have you received covers list?
Got covers, that's good. I'm glad you called on it. Let me finish John Davis. How many of you have seen a picture of John Davis? Okay, you know what he looks like. He's not like that at all. Now what I mean by that, well, he looks like, if you look at that photograph, he looks kind of like a stick in the mud. Just to be quite frank with you, but he's a very, very warm, outgoing person and very knowledgeable about this case, and you'll enjoy meeting him when he comes over here. Jack White just mentioned that the November issue of the Grassy Knoll Gazette is out, which is a privately published newsletter. Some of you take it, but the entire issue almost is devoted to our center and telling people across the country about it. So we're getting some publicity from that area. Also on the November the 22nd, the actual anniversary date, of course there will be the usual gathering at the Plaza. Penn Jones will be there, and then Penn, of course you know his health is not good, but Penn is consented to come up and spend an hour or so with us here at the center. And at that time, we're going to make a little formal dedication of this theater right here to him and name it the Penn Jones Theater. And you know Penn Jones and know his history. For years and years he went around from Rotary Club to Kiwanis Club to school, everything that you can imagine. Any place that he could get a crowd with a little 8mm 30-second film of the Zapruder film of the assassination of President Kennedy, and showing people for the first time the violent backward motion of the president's head. And I can think of no better way to honor him on our part than to name this theater, which does show that film in great detail. So we'll be doing that sometime that day. Also on the 22nd, we're negotiating and trying to work out the details for KLIF to actually do a live broadcast from our center for the cable parking show. So that would be 3 hours due from here, and the publicity starts several days in advance, and the actor's shot, continues, and it will be a great plus for us. So y'all keep that in mind. Hopefully that's going to come about. And during that time, probably it will be open line. Larry, Harris, all of us will be on there maybe for a little bit. Might even get in to consent to saying a few words on it, and so that'll be going on. So we've got a lot of things coming up and a lot of things planned, so you'll make note of those and keep them in mind. The next meeting will be December the 5th, right here, and our special guest will be one of these, either General Edwin A. Walker, remember Edwin? Jules Meyer. Are you familiar with Jules? He's the attorney for the Jack Ruby estate. He'll, by that time, know a little bit more probably about the outcome of that lawsuit with the Ruby family, or possibly Robert Groden. And then I wrote down at the bottom there, Morgana. But I'm not sure if you're going to make it. No, that's not it. That's not also, when you leave, pick up a copy of that. Also pick up a copy of this. And Eric, you won't say anything about this rather than me handling it?
Just take 30 seconds. Got these little flyers over here. I have succeeded in getting approval to teach a course, Jim Mars. I'll admit I'm a copycat. His course was the greatest thing I've ever taken, and I took a lot of political science courses in college, and they were dull compared to his class. So I decided I'll try to do the same thing, and Eastfield College has given me approval. And so I will be teaching a course in the spring, in the evenings, 8 nights, 8 weeks, 1 night a week at Eastfield College, and this explains a little more about that. But a phone number, in case you have a friend or somebody who might be interested, is basically entry level, and I'm sure it would be old news for everyone in this room. But if you have a friend or somebody you work with that would like to take a course, this is in Mesquite, so it will be convenient to people who live in the Dallas area or the east side of town.
Kruger doing TV special for on the 21 personal time. They're applied where they go out and see what's going on.
Anything about what you can say? I don't want you to
I would like to thank Barry McCoy and Chief Phipps for coming up and volunteering.
Yes.
During the week, we're really going to help us out. Anybody else, any time?
Y'all raise your hand so everybody knows who you are. That's Gene and Barry. Thank you very much. Larry Harris.
Just the week leading up to the anniversary, we will be scheduling special events here in the theater, and possibly we may have to move upstairs, and we'll have a panel of experts and sort of an open forum, question and answers. We'll be scheduling some lectures. Gary's going to give a lecture. I'm going to do one on ticket order. And we're planning some little special things like that in the days leading up to the anniversary on the 22nd. I'd stay in touch with the center and touch base with us to see what's there.
Okay. One other thing I want to visit with you about, because you're probably curious, John Davis leaves on his tour, which he started this week, the tour for his book, publicity on Mafia Kingfish again. He'll be talking about a meeting that was held this past July. And I want y'all to be in on it, know In fact, we were one of the co-sponsors of the meeting. This last July 4th, this is probably one of the most exciting things that's going on, and this is going on in the background. If there's any spies in here, y'all just shut your ears. But this, we're not through with this case. I'm not through with it. These guys are not through with it. Most of you are not. But just to show you that others are not, we had a meeting in San Francisco, California for 2 days, actually 3 days. And we called it for want of a better term, a Bilderberger meeting. Are y'all familiar with the Bilderbergers? Well, the Bilderbergers, they got their name from a hotel, a large hotel over in Belgium, in which these great masses of wealthy people, not masses of, but wealthy and influential people come together and they meet secretly. They talk about the problems of the world, whether it be economic, social, whatever it might be, and they decide to do certain things. But and even newsmen, prominent newsmen are members of this group, but when they leave there, they cannot talk about it. Okay, so that's the reason we named it this, and you'll see why in just a minute. We held this meeting, and the agreement was there would be no video taping, there would be no audio taping of the meeting, there would be no news personnel coming in, and in other words, it would be totally quiet. So we met in a hotel in San Francisco for 2 days. And let's go forward. The earthquake might have been caused by that. But here's who was there. I'll try to remember as I go around the table. Anthony Summers, author of The Conspiracy. Gabe Fonzie, special investigator for the House Select Committee on Assassinations. John Davis, author of Mafia Kingfish. Al Gonzalez, special investigator for the House Select Committee on Assassinations. Leslie Weisselman, research coordinator for the House Select Committee on Assassinations. Edmund Lopez, research coordinator on the House Select Committee on Assassinations. Jack Moriarty, one of the chief investigators on the John Kennedy portion of the House Select Committee on Assassinations. Clifford Benton, who was the chief JFK investigator on the House Select Committee. You see the names that I'm throwing out? It was a miracle that we could get them all to come together like that. We had to get them together like that privately, not say anything about it. Then there was Mary Farrell, our own Dallas lady of document fame. Jim Plassar, attorney, probably the foremost attorney on the Freedom of Information Act, and also vice president of AARC in Washington. Bud Festival, attorney and president of the AARC. Myself, and a fellow by the name of Bob Gard, and a private detective by the name of Joe Willis. Now, we came together and met, as I said, for 3 days. And the reason is because those 5, there were going to be 7 there, and the investigators of the actual committee staff knows that investigation was not a legitimate investigation. They know things and they want to pursue it further. We know what about the secrecy oath. Here's what we decided about that, Jack. And I don't care whether anybody agrees with this or not. The truth is more important than secrecy. The life and death of this democracy is more at stake and more valuable to me. I signed the secrecy oath, you signed the secrecy oath. But I could care less about the secrecy oath because they lied about what the contents and what that investigation would say. And these people are ready to come forward, work openly, when the time of the announcement comes, to further pursue this case. And they know the leads. They know the things. If you read Gates and Fonzie's article in the Washington magazine, it's almost a book. But if you notice, there were things that they were not allowed to pursue, and they were frustrated and they laid off the investigators because they took a time period and they said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pursue those things that you can finish in the next 6 months so we can write a report. Reality is irrelevant. That's what their key word was. We have to write a report. The investigation is gone. And that's what they said. And so we are worried. So if you hear this on the news, accidentally, I doubt the news is going to pick that little gem up. But if they do, John Davis is going to be speaking about it. I want you all to know about it first. To know that this center is right in the middle of it. John Davis may be announcing it on the radio and every program that he does. We've tentatively called it November 22nd, or 22nd of November. That's our group. And it's not a closed group just because those people were there. They were there because that's who we could get at that particular time and that fast. Because it was a spur of the moment. We didn't have much time to plan. And we brought them together under one group. And we agreed that nucleus right there could do anything we wanted to do if we could get the funds. And of course, that's what we're trying to do. We'll be trying to do. Out of this, we would like to do basically 3 things. One is to continue the investigation wherever it leads. Number 2, do a documentary film for the 30th anniversary about what those findings show. And number 3, publish a book that will go along with that documentary. And so if y'all know of anybody that's got, we could start out with a $500,000, just kind of seed money. So if y'all know of anybody that's got that, any y'all want to get that. So any question about that? I want you to know about it and know that we're not just playing games. This center is not only putting out information, we're gathering information. And there's people giving us information constantly, and our goal is to get it out to the people and let them see. Any question? Okay, let's get on to our guest. Our guest will be really a stranger to most of you, to any of you probably. The gentleman on my left here is Mr. Billie Sol Estes, a close confidant and friend of a former president. I believe he was from Texas.
Yes.
I can hardly remember, but his initials were LBJ. And he was close to a lot of things that went on back in the 50s, early 60s, mid 60s. And Madeleine Brown, and they're close friends. She's been kind of up here. And he's agreed very graciously to come up with Madeleine and sit in the hot seat. Tell you a little bit about, from a personal standpoint, what was going on, what the activities of those days, and kindly answer your questions. I told him if you didn't like any of the questions, just don't answer them. That's what I did. So, y'all welcome Billie Sol Estes.
Gary, we should have one other person that knows a lot about this, and that's J.D. Dillon.
Yes, Ms. J.D., where is it? J.D.
I'll sit back here.
If you go up to something, we're glad to have you. And I looked for you, I looked everywhere for you, and I thought you skipped out on me.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people may not know, but he definitely knows what happened in
I
Dillon.
know he does. And y'all, most of you know J.D. Glad to have you. Okay. I'd like you just to make some opening remarks.
Well, my name is Billie Sol Estes.
Stage fright.
And I think what we're all really gathered here for tonight is to take a look at history and what really happened. And I'd like to shed a little bit of light on what was really going on back in the 1950s and 60s and led up to that. But if you will let me walk you back a little further through the stream of time, I'd like to go back to Franklin Delano Roosevelt, which I remember well. I remember the Depression days. And I imagine Lyndon Johnson remembered, and I know he did, he remembered the Depression days real well. And you've got to think and know where this man come from and where his roots were. His roots were deep in Texas. He knew poverty in Johnson City. And regardless how history records Lyndon Baines Johnson, Lyndon will record him is, I think, a man that cared for the poor, a man that cared for the needy, and a compassionate man for those people. But as time went on and the political pot began to boil, when the Kennedys come on the scene, I really think that Joseph Kennedy was the real driving force behind Jack Kennedy. I don't really think Jack Kennedy was so much his own man as we'd like to think. Lyndon Baines Johnson was his own man. But I think again that Jack and Bobby were products of a father that had lots of power, intelligent man, and he wanted his sons to become high office holders. And we all know the same old story. I guess just because Billie Sol's talking, it's just this. But yet it's history. But I would like to acknowledge my friends here that all work with this center that are really dedicated people. There are a lot of dedicated people, but especially this center. It's done a lot. And when you think of this center, think how that death could have changed history. When you start thinking about everything that happened, and what would have been today if it had not been for that death. But we had a political climate with that. I think we had a self-made man in Lyndon Baines Johnson, a man of destiny. And I don't think he ever let many things get in his way to what he wanted to accomplish. I really don't. At the time, the political pot was really boiling in Texas. You had the Ralph Yarborough faction people. You had Lyndon Johnson, you can't call him a faction, but he was LBJ. He was bigger than life. That led. But I think that Ralph was a thorn in his flesh. But history will have a way to unfold, and the truth will come. I know 20 years ago or 25 years ago, I would have been the biggest liar in the world. But now, as things unfold, a lot of people, if they have accused in lying and it's false, you know what I mean? It's going to lead to the truth and put the history straight. Then you're going to ask, why haven't it put straight already? Well, the reason it hasn't been put straight already, there's a lot of reasons and a lot of factions. But as people die off, and people fear died off, well, the truth will come out. But anyhow, I'll answer what questions that I want to answer, and the ones I don't, I won't. So if y'all want to ask me questions, I can talk and ramble on forever. You've all read the newspapers, you've all scholars in this situation. But I'll answer any question that anybody wants to, or I'll listen to you, and I'll either answer or not answer. Okay? All right, sir.
Do you think there was any truth to the rumor that JFK was going to nominate LBJ as his running partner? Was it 1964?
Oh, I don't think that anyone that's on the know, I don't think there's any rumor to it. I think that he had to have LBJ to carry the South, and I think when he got him, well, I think LBJ needed to done because LBJ never lost control, because he had control from public where to the House, to the state representative, and everyone worked for the government. And he didn't want him in the first place. It was kind of a situation he had to have him to win. And then after he got him, I don't think he's ever in a position to dump anybody, you know.
Even though he might have wanted to.
He never wanted him in the first place, so how could you want to dump him if you didn't want him in the first place? I said with a shotgun, that situation, you know, he never did want him. In my opinion, and you can take it or leave it, anything I tell you is only opinion of mine.
I read somewhere that one of the reasons that Kennedy picked Johnson on the ticket, he said that Johnson was doing more harm in the House, as Speaker of the House, than he would as Vice President. Was there that much conflict between the two that Johnson wasn't opposed him on numerous issues?
Sir, he wasn't even thinking about the House. He was thinking about the elected President of the United States.
Well, it was in Los Angeles after.
But he knew after he got elected he couldn't do nothing with it. He knew he had to depend with it, but he knew he couldn't win the election without him. If he could have, he'd run without him. No way he would have run with him. But there was no way. Late hours of night thinking, you know. It just was no way. You know, he was politically smart. He had the political know-how and the political savvy, and he just knew he couldn't win. So the situation he had to do, didn't have a choice. He had a choice to win or get beat. Of course, he wanted to win. Yes, sir.
With Johnson and the power that he wielded in the House and the Senate of there without being in the White House, and the Vice Presidency notoriously being a weak position, what would cause Lyndon Johnson to want to be Vice President as opposed to the power that he already had in the position? Is there something else that he was looking forward to other than the Vice Presidency?
Oh, I think to answer your question, if you care for ramble a little,
Ramble on.
I think if you look at the man, when he was in Kleberg's office, he run the show, you know. And I think he knew he'd run the show from the president. You know, he knew he would run the show regardless where he was at. He didn't have no doubt that he'd run the show, and he did. And it was a stepping stone, and he never turned down a stepping stone. It'd been next up to bat.
Do you think it was from a heartbeat situation or from an election situation later on down the line? I mean, knowing Lyndon Johnson personally, how was he thinking in terms of, I want to take this vice presidency position to get me to president?
Well, I think he just lived one day at a time. I think he lived one day at a time. I think he lived one day at a time, and I'm not going to